Chapter 4. Tim. Background. I grew up in the middle of a cornfield in central Illinois. Our small town was jealous of the next small town 20 miles away because it had a stoplight. I was the youngest of 3 kids. I have 2 sisters. Both are much older than me. So for all practical purposes, I was raised as an only child. My parents were successful professionals. My dad sold cars, and my mom was a nurse's assistant. I had everything a kid could ask for. Traditional family dinners 7 days a week, good health care, a big yard to play in, and nice things. I grew up in a perfect middle-class setting. My traumatic past. As long as I can remember, back to my first memories, alcohol has played a huge part in my life. My father, aunt, uncle, and brother-in-law were alcoholics. I had all the information I needed, so I should have known better. However, from a young age, I felt the magnetic pull of drugs and alcohol. It felt almost like an instinct for me to seek an altered state of mind. By 14, I was smoking weed every day. By 19, I was an alcoholic, and I was okay with all of it. I had experimented with love when I was 15 years old, but I actually fell in love for the first time when I was 21. Her name was cocaine. Over the next 9 years, I went batshit crazy with drugs, drinking, and gambling. It was a very normal lifestyle in the casino industry of Las Vegas, where I had moved. By the age of 30, my body was giving out. I was skinny, not eating, and throwing up when I woke up each day until I could drink the shakes off. My friends, who were no angels themselves, were becoming increasingly worried about me. My nose was so messed up from the damage drugs did to it, and they were catching me freebasing cocaine and cooking rock cocaine. My best friend told me he thought I was going to die. I had survived suicidal thoughts over the years, brought on by the stress and anxiety of a lifestyle that embraced substance abuse. He and I decided to get sober. Overcoming all the odds, we did it all on our own. While I was getting sober, I told dozens of so-called friends to fuck off in order to get away from a lifestyle that was literally killing me. I became obsessed with eating right and becoming physically fit for the first time in my life. In 1 year, I morphed into another person, one that I could have never imagined being. I was fit, strong, and confident. That's when Michelle walked into my life. She brought love, purpose, and reason into my life. Long story short, we swept each other off our feet. Michelle was a binge drinker. I eventually caved in and joined her, but drinking was different for me this time. I felt I had more control. Over the next 8 years, we would binge drink, and we had our share of problems because of it. Overall, we had an awesome marriage. We had great jobs that paid well, and aside from occasionally drinking too much, we didn't have any problems. Without alcohol, I felt we would pretty much be perfect together. By 2020, I was done drinking for the most part. The little I drank, I did at a handful of planned events over the next 2 years. Michelle tried to join me in my sobriety, but struggled with any commitment to stop drinking. For her 30th birthday, she wanted to go out for drinks, so I agreed to do that. Our agenda for the evening was to go out for drinks and dinner and then play some blackjack. I gave her a diamond necklace at dinner. I remember driving past the first restaurant we ever had a date at. The evening was magical. Our next 10 years were the focus of our night, her birthday. We sat in a lounge, her legs kicked over mine, flirting like teenagers. We stared deeply into one another's eyes, and we laughed. We played some roulette and poker, just having fun, and sped up our drinking. I noticed that Michelle was really intoxicated. I needed to get her home. In the short time it took for us to get home, she had a mood swing like I've never seen from her. She became extremely upset, emotional, and irrational as she talked about life and problems. As I opened our front door, she walked past me and put her purse on the table. Unbeknownst to me, she took her pistol out of the purse. She walked into a spare bedroom in our home that she used as her dressing room, put the pistol to her head, and pulled the trigger. What the hell had just happened in our home? I called 911 and they told me to give her CPR. I tried as hard as I could in the frantic state I was in. I covered the hole in her head and screamed for her to come back. When the police arrived, I was covered in my wife's blood and hysterical. I did not hear or comply with any of their commands, so I was tackled by 2 officers, handcuffed, and placed in the back of a police car. I remained handcuffed in that police car for hours. As I sat in the police car, I was thinking about whether I wanted to go on living or not. I decided that in order for me to live through what had just happened, I had to be certain that one day I would be able to experience joy, happiness, and love again, no matter how long it took. If I couldn't believe those things would be part of my life in the future, well, my life was fucking over, and I might as well join Michelle. The thought I live with that bothers me the most is that she would not have even remembered her mood swing or doing what she did if she somehow survived. She had no idea what she was doing. She had never even gone to therapy for the issues she had gotten so emotional about on our ride home. She didn't plan that her birthday would be her last day on earth. The next morning at 9 a.m., I was in a mental state I would describe as beyond shock. I still had Michelle's blood on my pants and shoes. Our home had undergone a crime scene cleanup. My in-laws and 2 of our friends had arrived and departed. I was alone for the first time since she took her life. So what did I do? I jerked off. I'm not kidding. That's what I did. To say that I was completely lost comes nowhere close to what I felt. It was so much worse. It was so dark, compounded by my disbelief that it had even happened. But the video kept playing in my head, so I knew it had. What should I have done? I didn't have a clue. For those 2 minutes, I forgot my wife was dead. Again, what was I supposed to do? How would I ever feel even a little bit better about my life? How would I escape the darkness that enveloped my head? How would I turn off the video that was constantly playing in my head? Was there a way to at least mute that video? I only had questions, no answers. How I found post-traumatic winning. A friend of Michelle and mine is a firefighter. You'll read his story in chapter 50 of this book. He is Cutman Mike. Mike met Mac after a post-traumatic winning presentation Mac gave in Las Vegas to first responders who had responded to the mass shooting that occurred at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino a few years ago. Cutman Mike reached out to me immediately after Michelle's death and told me he wanted me to meet with him and Mac and go through Mac's post-traumatic winning program. I'm really glad I did that. I owe Cutman Mike a great deal. Mac bluntly answered the questions I was asking myself in the back of that police car. Yes, you absolutely will experience joy and happiness again. Cutman Mike echoed Mac's thoughts. I needed those answers from people who don't bullshit, and that's what I got. The impact post-traumatic winning has had on my life. I like that I wasn't fed any bullshit from the very first time we met, which might have been 3 weeks after Michelle's death. When Mac, Mike, and I got together, all I heard was true shit. Mac taught me that I wasn't alone, and that this wasn't going to stop hurting, ever. Those things made sense to me. I remember thinking, why doesn't anybody else say these truthful things to me? I learned that it was up to me to do something about my future and to actually use this post-traumatic wisdom I was acquiring in my life. As I write this, I want you to know that I'm nowhere near anything that resembles perfect. I struggle. I know I will never get over the terrible events that surround my beautiful wife's death, events that live in my head, and I understand that is normal for people that have been through horrible things. I also know that I'm a bit unique in the valley of the shadow of death, as Matt calls this dark place. I know that I have been to the darkest part of that valley. Most importantly, I also understand that I have the ability to transform my life. I have lived that truth. 3 years have passed, and the drinks Michelle and I had on the night of her birthday were my last drinks. I view drinking now as an immediate death sentence for me. I know where it will take me. Since I began going down this path that you are embarking on, I have met a handful of people who have had experiences similar to mine. I have developed friendships and bonds with them, and I have even been able to help them. Mac and Cutman Mike told me that one day I would begin to help others, but I couldn't see how that would happen. But it has. If you are in a dark place, I want you to know that there is a path for you, and that path will lead you to experience joy in your life again. I know that sounds crazy if you're surrounded by darkness right now, but it's not crazy. It's the truth. If a guy like me can do this, if a guy like me can learn how to find joy in life after the trauma I've experienced, so can you. So keep reading and take some notes. This shit works.